Let's begin by taking a moment to connect to the breath. So wherever you're at, go ahead and breathe in through your nose. And just let that breath call you present. Feel your ribs rise, feel the air in your nostrils, and release the breath through your mouth. And again, breathing in through the nose. Just coming present into your body and exhale. Maybe you can exhale any distractions 2 more times, just simply like that. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. All right. I love working with the breath because it's so quintessentially simple and something we carry with us everywhere. So every time I get the chance to really remind myself. And I wanted to start today, we're experiencing the energies of actually 3 really cool things over the course of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And so I want to just set the lay the land a little bit, and then we can get into some discussion and some practice. So yesterday was actually Lunasa, or La Lunasa, or Lammas, which is a Celtic holiday. It's a goddess holiday in the sense that it's a pagan holiday, and it's a cool holiday. It's not a harvest festival. It's a celebration of the harvest to come festival, which I think is really special because it allows us to really, and this is the times that we're in, to appreciate the things that are present that are in the direction that we want to go. And so that might mean, you know, our basket might not be full and overflowing with everything that's amazing, but gosh darn it, the first apple on that tree is ripe, and you can see the sheaves of wheat. Maybe the first piece of corn is ready, and the whole field is full of corn. So that's kind of the energy of this holiday that's been celebrated for centuries. It's also there's a few goddesses that are associated with this, but goddess Habondia is one of the main goddesses that oversees this holiday, and I just love her name. Her name almost sounds like abundance, and she's a harvest goddess. I'll get to a little bit of the goddess course content that I have. I'll share it with you today about her, and really her stead is this calling in abundance and creating abundance by witnessing and knowing the power that we have to create. And that gets us to the other 2 things that are happening right now. So August 1st is typically Lunasa. And then August 2nd, it just so happens this year, today, we have, I do a little bit of astrology. We have the Sun square Uranus, and that's an interesting energy if you are into that type of thing. The Sun is typically our identity, our personality, our ego, our external self in the world, and a square means conflict. A square means internal challenge. Uranus is our intuition. It's high technology. It's our ability to be inventive. It's our freedom. It's our innovation. So it's interesting to consider that our ego, our id, our external self, is having some sort of a self-realization conflict moment potentially now with our intuition, and I think of high technology, even though I live in Silicon Valley. I think that, you know, the way I teach it is we already are high technology. The fact that we are these broadcasting beings, that we're energetic and that we can manifest things from nothing is really, in my exploration, like chipping at the tip of the iceberg of the power of our heart chakra to transmute and transform. And I think, you know, when we consider that we're all connected and that there is no separation, this idea of high technology takes us, you know, back to this redwood tree behind me that probably, you know, has seen millions of lifetimes and is communicating with me in a way I don't understand. So I love the idea of the energy of today, maybe helping us tease out a little bit our identity and the things that we hold on to, or might be being, really what it is maybe being called to let go a little bit. And if you think about the energy of letting go, when we're in a state of fear or holding on, there's this kind of clenching energy, right? I'm doing it with my hands, you can see. And then when we let go, you can feel this. So it's kind of like fear is this down and release is this up. And so that, I think, is really the energy of today, which is how much more can we release? How much more can we let go of even the best linear thoughts we have about how we're going to make a positive change in the world? Maybe even being willing to wait for some signs. And that is essentially today. And that leads me into tomorrow. Tomorrow is actually, I called this the Lunasa full moon celebration. Tomorrow is actually the full moon. August 3rd is the full moon. And it's really special because the full moon is in Aquarius. So full moons are illuminating their culmination times. There are those times, new moons, you plant seeds. Full moons, you're harvesting the seeds. And so we have this harvest festival, which is awesome. And then we have the full moon in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, Sun squaring Uranus. And Aquarius is freedom of expression. Aquarius is fighting for your cause, why you're really here. Aquarius is being willing to be a little bit weird or outside what the common norms or the status quo. It's kind of that forward thinking energy. So we have this illumination on the forward thinking energy, and we have this square in the ways that our ego might be keeping us back. And I think the most simple, and I love when things can boil down to something very simple, because my mind's been trained to make it more complicated and then I'll get the answer. But when we really get to the powerful high technology, in my experience, it's always been simple. So we're being invited to remember love versus fear energy right now, and how we can recognize when we're operating, engaging, vibrating out of a reaction or a prevention of a fear. That could be something as simple as a virus. It could be something as all the craziness in our culture, but really recognizing when we're clenching about fear, when we're trying to resist fear, and that's that down energy, right? And then when we're in this state of love, heart's open, chest is up, we are free, and we're willing to flow. So that is sort of the full circle. As I said, I was just going to kind of set the stage for us with this holiday, the energies of today, and the energies of tomorrow. Does anybody have any comments or questions about any of that? I just talked for a little bit of time. Does that all kind of jive? Yeah, thumbs up. Okay, cool. So then what I want to get to next is I've spent the last couple years, I teach a goddess consciousness course, and then also energy course and a podcast. And one of the things that's just kind of come through is this exploration of the goddess. And, we're likely all listening, mostly female, and whoever watches this, I find that, 95% of the people are women who are kind of sincerely interested in, I call it remembering, because I think it's something that's in past lives maybe been forgotten. And it feels like that when I find the truth. It's kind of like, oh, I think some part of me knew that. And it's not like it's a new gift that's been gifted down. It's kind of coming up. And so it's like removing the layers of the gunk. So with the goddess in general, I feel like it's an excavation project. And I've talked in other gatherings and podcasts about how over time, even the stories that we know about Aphrodite and Venus are very much informed by Greco-Roman culture. And maybe there was something before that. Maybe we're going all the way back to Sumeria. Maybe we're going all the way back to these, anthropological discoveries that show these little tiny women goddesses who were seen to be the birth mother of everything. And for me, it's a pretty profound exploration, because as soon as I think I've got something and then I go back into my world and I bring that back, there's so much more. So I really like meeting and sharing the content that I find about the goddesses, and hearing what you guys have to say about how it resonates. So Habondia is the goddess that we're going to meet today. We're going to I'm going to share my screen to give you a sense of who she is. This is probably in my experience, kind of like maybe the quintessential version of her. And I like this photo because it is she's obviously the goddess of the harvest, but it fits with what I was saying about high technology, because look at what's in her cornucopia. Well, it might look like coins, but then it also looks like stars, and it's definitely golden light. And so this, I think, is cool because it interfaces perfectly with what I was mentioning about Sun Square Uranus, about high technology, and about how maybe we and our connection to the universe is high technology, and we get to really claim that now. Is how are we vibrating? What are we thinking about? What are we offering every moment of the day to the field, to everybody? And that is a really profound task, to take responsibility for that. But I love this image of her because she's showing just these little blinks of light that could be harvest of food and fruit, and the typical harvest that we think of. But also with the full moon in Aquarius, we're being invited to maybe move beyond even what we think we know of a harvest and of what the abundance is. And when I look at this image, I see almost like a vortex. Do you see how the cornucopia is fading back into the light? And this reminds me of a lesson when I first stepped into, abundance and quantum field. And, if I want a really cool teal plaid shirt, and maybe you have a really cool teal plaid shirt, I don't need to take yours to get mine. And that's so true. That's a very mundane example, but the universe, like we as manifesting beings, pull things out of nothing. Like we're that powerful, and the universe is that responsive. And I think that this goddess is kind of showing up with this 3-day spread of energy to remind us of something even more profound beyond what we know as the harvest. But I do want to share a little bit as we're gazing at her. I want to let you know a little bit of what I've come to know, and this is part of the material that I teach in the Goddess course. So this is she's within the Celtic tradition, and she's known as Habondia or Habond, and she literally represents abundance. And they saw abundance in many forms. They saw it in terms of joy, in terms of health, in terms of prosperity, fertility, luck, healing. And she's also known to be associated with horticulture, with crops, with gardening, she's also an earth goddess, the hearth, the home. And so she's in the Celtic and Wiccan tradition, she's the queen of the witches. She's the queen of the women who were the magic makers. And so I'm going to share the next image. Let me just get to this real quick. Thank you guys for your patience. All right, so this image, I like this image as well. Oh, I apologize. As I said, I'm sitting outside next to the library. There's a little bit of road noise. So I love this image because this kind of shows the goddess is ripe and swelling with life, and then the land is ripe and swelling with life. And she's the goddess of the harvest. She's got the cow horns on her head. Those are often associated with the Egyptian goddess Hathor, who is a goddess of fertility and mothering, and also the sun goddess. And you'll see how in this image, the sun is right in between those horns. And so she's also known as a sun goddess because around this time, the heat is at its peak, at least in, the Northern Hemisphere. So let's take a second, and I want to we're going to do a little bit more talking, but we're going to start to transition into some themes of what is present for us to be thankful for. So we're going to work a little bit with this law of abundance, law of attraction today in terms of high technology. And so one of the ways that, the movie The Secret talked about it in a way that left many people confused or enlightened or both. But the general principle is, so if I am, you know, looking to raise $400,000 and I've got $65,000, am I going to say, hey, universe, I need $300,000? Or am I going to say, wow, I've got 65K. That's amazing. That came from nothing. That's a very mundane example, but that choice to choose cup half full, essentially. So, and then also knowing where we want to go. And we each have our own unique, soulful journey of what we want to manifest. And so I just want us to kind of start to, as we're calling this goddess in, talking about her, consider what are the things that maybe personally we're thankful for right now. And as we are a group of women, I think it's really important also for us to be simultaneously acknowledging where we're headed, and then thankful for, you know, the incredible number of choices we have right now. We can choose whether or not we get married. We can choose whether or not we have children. We can choose whether or not we seek careers, whether or not we live alone. We can choose which potentials to develop. There's so much there for us. And that is literally, you know, cup half full, in the sense that, you know, we have all these freedoms, and we might know that there's much more that we want to call in and remember as the embodiments of goddesses. So let's move to the next slide of Habondia. I've got just 2 more for us. So here, this is interesting. This is a little bit more of a pagan or a Wiccan version of her, and she's kind of in the fire in the middle. And there's these beautiful female goddesses and all the little creatures below dancing around her fire. So this shows her as a goddess of maybe occult knowledge of women's freedom to express themselves and commune with nature, and then also nature's communing with her. So I mentioned she's associated with the harvest. She is also associated with fire and with the sun. She's also associated with animal spirits, which is why there's all those little creatures down there. So that's interesting to consider the idea of a totem animal, or the way that animals' appearances in our lives can signal lessons. So I want us to move into a little bit of a practice here. And we're just going to, you don't have to physically turn yourself in any direction, but we're going to kind of notice where you're sitting, where the sun is. I'm outside, so it's pretty clear where the sun is, but you can just kind of, in your mind's eye, maybe you're just going to acknowledge out the back of your head that the sun's right behind me. So we're going to acknowledge the sun. And just in tuning in with the sun, whether it's astrology or any ancient tradition, the sun was known to carry energy, vitality, abundance, and also intelligence. So we're just going to kind of connect to the sun. And as we connect to the sun, let's also be willing to connect and invite this goddess, Habondia. She is known as the goddess of the sun, into our circle, into our gathering. And it's worth mentioning that this gathering is going to be private. Anything you guys share, if there's a future video, will be edited out. So this is a safe space. So we're just connecting with the sun. We're connecting with Habondia. Just by connecting with her, we're calling her and we're inviting her in. And just feel how she loves us with this all-pervading light. Much like Mother Earth, the sun shines on everybody. The sun doesn't choose not you and yes you. Just that's exactly the way that Mother Earth, she provides for everybody. And that is goddess energy. So just breathe her light in and feel it connect to your heart. The light of the sun, just allow that golden light into your heart. And also call in Habondia as the goddess who just pours her cornucopia of light and abundance on earth, as if she's some sort of a portal of simply being willing to ask and then receive. And notice how resonant this energy of the sun and this energy of Habondia is with Gaia, with Mama Earth. It's as if, in my experience of the goddesses, the names of the goddesses are almost trying to capture an essence of this vast whole that is the goddess. So just breathing and being grateful for just simply and generally the bounty of the earth, the growth and the warmth of the sun, the growth that happens because of the sun's light. And feel the endless streams of abundance from the rays of the sun, from the plants that are nourished by the sun, from the streams that are flowing. And let's call this goddess now formally, just invite her in to nourish us, to help us shine brightly, to help us appreciate and open up space to receive more. And let's also call on her to help all those in our world who are in need. And let's invite her to teach us to receive and to know that we deserve, to know that there is an limitless supply. And much like she's got that cornucopia, let's also invite her to teach us to give and to share in the overflow. That idea of reciprocity calls in abundance because it says, I have so much that I'm giving to you. And just by that action of giving, we're calling in more. So I want to invite us in this sacred space. We've been talking about the idea of gratitude, but maybe even as a step before that, I want us to consider, what does abundance mean to you? What does it look like? How does it feel? And I mentioned, Habondia as this goddess of abundance, but in the Celtic tradition, they saw abundance as joy, as many things. It's as if another way to say it is money is one form of prana. So, joy, health, prosperity, fertility, luck, health, healing, magic. I don't know if anybody feels called to share anything right now. That's all the sharing, as I mentioned, is not necessary. But if anybody wants to unmute or to type into the chat, I'm going to pull myself back to the full screen for a second. So, or maybe you just simply want to hold space for, how does abundance feel?
I'm willing to talk.
Awesome. Eliette, let's hear it.
I'm quite a talker. I like to share. But I think it's so appropriate how you started and what you shared, because I've been really, especially finding that today when I woke up, these ideas that came to me, because communication has been, and good, strong, supportive communication has always been a theme for me. And I don't do it as a business. I'm talking about friends and family primarily. And that it just came to me of how I could use technology, because we have texting capabilities, we have email capabilities, and those are the two that I just used this morning to support, invite what could make a difference to better have a flow in the communication with no make wrong, no feeling, no negative feelings. And so I find that this whole thing is just so appropriate, you know, and I do feel, you know, like I'm no young chick. I do feel really happy, blessed that I have had and am having the life that I have. And if I drop dead in an hour, I feel like I've had and accomplished so much that it's really okay.
That's wonderful. I love, you know, one of the things that I started back when we all went into shelter in place, I did a weekly Sunday gathering. And the first thing that came through was the amount of chaos points to the amount of transformation that's possible. The second thing that came through was about technology. I studied for a little bit with a Peruvian shaman, and they have some interesting things to say about the future. They talk about a time where like there's robots. The people that this shaman I studied with has never seen television, had never seen Transformers, had never, like, just so up in the Andes, right? And he comes down and he's talking about something that sounds like Transformers. And I remember kind of listening to him speak, and people were like, hey, wait, I don't know if I like AI. And he's like, no, no, no. Remember how everybody was afraid of the internet back in the 90s? Look at what you guys can do. Look at what's possible. So it's not a black or white issue. It's kind of like, but for all of that's happening, we wouldn't be gathered. We wouldn't, I mean, we probably would not have the same motivation as we do right now to be like, wow, like I'm really craving connection and I haven't lost that. And that's something I want to shift and see how I can make that happen. That's exactly what you're saying, right? Which is like, and I think one of the things that's really cool about the themes for in general right now, I think we're all craving authenticity. I think we're all craving the real human faces and the real human experiences, and to step away from the, you know, television is wonderful, but I think we're really kind of craving each other and each other's humanness, and it's so that we can feel that. And technology is helping us. So yes, simultaneously we are high technology, and then technology as we know it is a gift, and it is something for us to be grateful for. So thank you. That's awesome. So one of the things I wanted to kind of, as we, you know, it might be a look back over the last however many weeks, 20 weeks, it might be just in general. One of the ways to start with abundance is looking around us and saying what's good, you know. So what have we manifested in our lives that feels good? And I'll start, because I think one of my learnings around about now is I've got a garden, I've got good health, I've got, you know, a beautiful dog that is pretty much my son. I've got all these things in my life that, and I've got this wonderful group of women who freely chose to hop online on Sunday and say hello to each other. I think that that is worth so much. And I've got a roof over my head, and I'm not worried about food on the table, and I'm willing to shift. I'm willing to shift what I do for how I work, how I receive money. I'm willing to trust. And I'm really grateful for all of those things, of how secure and supported I feel, kind of because. And I think that's really interesting when we think about that high technology again. One of the ways that we've been trained in linear world is, you know, the 3D world is the do all end all be all. And if it doesn't exist in a 3D world, then it's not here. And then also to kind of have this linear way of going about thinking about how we value things and whether or not something is true or happening. So high technology says, I'm gonna put some energy in here. I'm gonna give gratitude for all that's present, and I'm gonna trust that that's gonna pop something magical eventually into the world. And that, I think, is that magic that Habondia is known for. And to us, it seems like magic because we've forgotten about our third eye. We've forgotten about ourselves as energetic beings. And it does feel like magic because it pops itself in this very non-linear, it's not like I raised $50 and then I went and bought a pair of tennis shoes. It's like, oh, the pair of tennis shoes just was on my front porch. There it was, that type of a magic. So what have you manifested in 2020, to keep it more broad, that feels good? And that might be something that you want to share with the group verbally. You might want to type it in a chat, or you might just want to, everybody's got their own way of interacting with Zoom. I've come to understand some people are ready to talk. Some people prefer to kind of be very present, but also maybe not wanting to. So there's no wrong way to participate in this meeting also. People have
Lisa,
told me, what?
Lisa,
Yeah.
can I personally invite the other participants to actually have, if they have something? I mean,
Yeah.
what about you, Arbira? Hi, Arbira. What do you have to say?
Hi, I'm Ramona. Um, I don't really know too much about like this group or anything. I was kind of attracted to it. I can't even remember what the description was, and but what I'm working on many things. But one of the things is when I saw the word goddess, it brought me to like our feminine energy, and I think I've been so disconnected from it, 51 years, and have bought into, like, culturally, and society tells me that I have to sacrifice. And then I feel guilty for wanting. So just this whole talk about abundance and about kind of shifting to like maybe more of a feminine energy of receiving, of being the receiver and feeling worthy to receive and not feel guilty because someone else doesn't have it. I do believe that there's enough for everyone. And me desiring something takes nothing away from anyone else. But still deep down, I have this sense of, oh, but so-and-so, oh, their life is, and even though my life is really, there's been a lot of tragedy and illness and me being there for everyone else, friends, family. I now in this time in my life that I'm going through, like the change and everything, I feel like I want to be more into that space and of that feminine energy of being like the giver to myself first, and the healing to myself for allowing that, the universe is trying to bestow that on me, but I've been resistant. I came in when, Lisa, you were talking about fear and kind of holding on, and I do feel like my body is like that. Then when I'm in joy and love, everything just seems loose and expansive, and I want to kind of like maybe I know I want to be in that space more. So I'm willing to do what I need to do and face things. So
Yes.
I don't know if that's what this group is about, but I'm open to wherever,
You're fantastic.
the universe brings me.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
I love it. And this group is about not having a definition about the group. Because, one of the things I love is just as soon as you think you know what it is, whatever that is, you've lost it, right? And so I think that the energy of the group is healing and nourishing each other. And one of the cool things I love to rediscover about goddess energy is how unconditionally loving it is, how pervasive it is, how magical and all encompassing it is. And so there's no wrong topic. And I think those topics that you're talking about are so right on, because we're healing we're healing ourselves, and we're healing these collective beliefs and just ways of being that ultimately, you know, some part of ourselves through whatever experience realizes like, that's probably not optimal. You know, I wonder if there's another way for me to exist in the world. Also, you mentioned about, you know, I want to receive, you know, we can only love as much as we love ourselves. We have to first be the vessel. The cup has to fill, right? And we have to fill it ourselves so that we can give. And that's a whole rewriting the story of codependence or of emotional relationships, and the ways that, you know, things that have kind of snuck under the radar, that we're willing to support each other in saying, hey, this is my intention. So thank you for sharing. I think that's perfect. And thank you, Elliot, for encouraging.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love it.
I want to hear from Janelle now. Can you unmute yourself? I mean, I want Lisa to allow and receive all that we have to give, because we have a lot to give, including take KTB, which we don't even see right now. But Janelle, please.
Well, thank you for your encouragement. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you for your encouragement, because there's a lot on my mind, and I tend to maybe hold back and not necessarily share. So thank you for the encouragement. And Ramona, is it Ramona? I so resonate with what you just shared. Yesterday I was sitting and meditating, and I became aware of how much pain and tension I had around my shoulders. And I was thinking about, I'm sort of really diving a little bit into tarot lately and the symbology, and I kept picturing can't remember exactly which card it is, but it's about someone carrying a whole bundle of wands, like sticks, and it was this weight, and it was like feeling like there was this weight on me, and thinking about, what is this weight that I'm carrying? And as I was thinking about it, I was kind of just dragging it off my shoulders and into my heart, and I started to realize that I feel like it's the weight of putting everybody else's needs above my own, and not really allowing myself to open up to fully receive. And I feel like it's ancestral. I feel like it's, you know, I look at the patterns of my mother and her mother, and I feel like particularly on the female lineage, it goes way back. And I think for so many women, there's been such this imbalance between the masculine and the feminine, where the masculine is given so much more weight, and I can see how, you know, there needs to be this rebalancing, and how it's happening inside every woman. And part of that is reclaiming your right to receive abundance, and to say, yes, I deserve to receive. Yeah, the sun wants to shine on all of us, and it's us blocking out that light. And I certainly know that I have been in my own life. And the thing I'm feeling most grateful for in my life right now is that, thanks to COVID, and, you know, have I manifested this, or has it just happened? I don't know. But I've spent the last 16 years house cleaning for a living, as I raised my 2 boys as a single mom. And it's been a struggle, and it's been exhausting, and it's been something I've been trying to move out of for 16 years. It was supposed to be a very temporary thing when my kids were young, and I kind of just became trapped in this rut, and it's taken a toll on my health. And right now I feel the biggest gift to me, and how I feel so abundant, is the freedom I have right now of my time. So I'm no longer cleaning because of COVID, and I'm being financially supported, and I have so much freedom every day to choose how to spend my time. And I'm making art, and I'm painting, and I'm collaging, and I'm dancing, and I'm spending time in the garden and meditating. And every single day I wake up so grateful to have this freedom of choice of how to spend my time. And that just feels like the biggest gift. And the other thing that was coming to my mind when I was thinking about what does abundance mean to me, partly, yeah, it's freedom. It's, you know, it's freedom to, you know, how to choose how to spend your time, and the freedom to do things you love. But it's so interconnected for me to trust. And the other day I was out in the middle of a lake swimming, and I lay on my back with my arms open, and I let myself be supported. And to me, that support is partly that abundance that this life wants to support us. And I was trying to, like, how deeply can I let go and trust? And I feel right now, like my ability to receive abundance is so interconnected with my ability to trust that life wants to give me everything I want to receive. I just need to clear out the low self-worth that says I'm not worthy of it, or all the blocks to it. But once I do, and I just open up to receive, which is so the feminine way, then it just wants to rush in. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, I love all of that. That's so great. Thank you. It's
Could
really,
go on and on.
you know, we each, you're right, Elliot, we each have something to contribute to each other and a lot of what I think we've been stuck in this patriarchy is a weird word. More masculine energy. I love men. I have a great partner. But we've been stuck in this linear thing, you know,
Right.
and goddess culture is circular. And so I love that even, you know, bless me, I'm like, I'm going to take the charge, meaning the best thing. I'm meaning so much good. I'm kind of witnessing even how as I'm leading the goddess course, I'm like
Yeah.
able to unpack this a little bit.
Let's help KTB have a voice. Are you willing, KTB? Yes, yes.
Um,
Yay.
I just enjoy listening to Lisa's ritual suggestions, and I like group meditations, and I've been working on tracking my moods with the lunar cycle and astrology this year. And I like journaling with my tarot cards each day. That's it.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Thank you for your positive feedback for me. And you know, it's funny when I was raised Catholic. And so when you first meet tarot and it's all, oh, witches and devils and all this stuff. And I've come to know in the podcast world that I've done, every time something's got a bunch of fear around it, it's part of that reclamation. There's probably something powerful there. And I love tarot in the sense that it's radiesthesia. Radiesthesia is what pendulum work uses. It's what dowsers use to find water. It's literally just a way for us to step into the magic of who we actually already are. And it's a way to set that trust that, you know, Janelle was talking about, and being able to float in the water. Tarot's kind of another way of that. A lot of times when I can tell I'm in my own way, I'll like pull a tarot card and be like, just show me the score. Help me help myself. So thank you, Katie, for sharing that. I think that's really magical. So let's take one more step together. So there's all these things that we're grateful for. And I think we've kind of all said or alluded to what would we like more of? And so there's this interesting reframing of, you know, it's not that my cup's totally empty. It's just more of an acknowledgement of, yeah, this thing called freedom and time and creativity and free expression, that feels good. Like I want more. I think we've all kind of said that. I'm reiterating, but I think on this feast day and with all these energies, it's cool for us to gather and maybe just consider if there's anything else you want to call in, and also what are the gratitude for the beginnings of those things that are present in our life. Does anybody have anything that comes to mind?
For me, it's when I read what you said and what the feminine energy can bring forth if we all collect together and focus on it, is what's happening with our governments. I mean, the whole world. I have friends outside of America, and everybody's saying the same. It's like the people that are at the top, that are actually in charge of putting forth the laws, the rules, the, you know, stopping businesses of working right now or whatever, and whatever. I feel like we need to put that forth to get through to them, to be able for them to let go of their struggles and work together to let go of what they think they know and to listen to the people that really are authorities on the topic, people that can actually support them in, you know, coming together and finally giving direction to what needs to be done. That's me.
I love it. And that is the, you know, we're in times of immense change because there's a lot that we know ultimately this is such a gift, because even me, you know, we were all willing to just kind of hum along and keep going and just, you know, we're human beings are repetitive in so many ways, right? And so now we get to be like, all right, everything's shifting, and so how can we just by and I think it's really powerful to consider that everything we do, even by coming together in circle today, we are saying, this matters to me. You know, I'm going to take some time to do this because this is the way I want to live. These are the people that I want to connect with. This is a topic that is of curiosity and importance to me right now. I love that. I love that, you know, we're in it. We're like, you know, the blender's going on right now is kind of how I feel. So thank you for sharing.
I can jump on. Yeah, something I've decided I'm, you know, going to use this opportunity, and I'm definitely not going back to house cleaning, but I'm not entirely sure what is next. And I think the masculine way of doing things is that we've sort of been trained to do is you have a goal and there's a very linear path to reach it. You do this, this, and this, and that's how you get to it. Whereas when you don't have that clarity, you have to go the feminine way, which is, you know, that you're walking in the dark and you have enough light to see the next step and the next step, and it's using intuition and feeling your way, but it takes a lot of trust. And so I guess what I'm wanting more of is clarity. And so I also want to acknowledge the clarity I do have of the things that I do know that make me feel good. And I love making art. I love painting. I love collage. I love working with the inner child. I love working with other people. I love music, and I love the freedom that I have being my own boss. And so I'm, rather than thinking, I don't know what I want, and there's this lack of clarity, it's like, well, what do I know? And can I just build on that and appreciate the clarity I do have, and trust that more clarity will come. Thanks.
Yeah, I love that you're really embodying the flow. I had this image yesterday of, you know, where our soul, our highest, if we were going to be the most complete version of ourselves, right? Where would we go? And then it's almost like our soul's got this energetic river, and we get to release our thinking minds, release the ways that we've been trained to do things, and to just see if we can float in this river and trust that, you know, even if I think I got to go over there, well, maybe I got to go in the roundabout, and it's going to be the most beautiful journey. And then when I get there, it'll all make sense. And so I love that both times you shared, you kind of were reminding me of that flow, you know, that, and that is goddess flow, you know.
And on that note, I had a dream yesterday that I was on a roller coaster sitting up, and it was really frightening and quite scary. And then something in me decided to lie down on the bottom of the roller coaster, sort of head first, as you might go like down a slide head first, and open my arms and completely surrender. And suddenly all the fear just came out of my body, and I was just going up and down and all these ebbs and flows with complete surrender and trust, and it was blissful. So that's a nice reminder that yes, we are carried, whether it's the roller coaster or the river or whatever image comes to mind, to just surrender and let go of the fear and trust in the abundance of life and all that. And I love the idea of abundance, not just being about financial abundance, but I'm really low in blood volume right now. I want an abundance of blood volume. I'm a shallow breather. I want an abundance of how I breathe. I love the abundance of vitality and health and clarity of vision and joy. To me, one of the symbols that I picture, I associate with abundance is a sunflower and the color yellow and all the seeds. And to me, I associate that also with joy. So I want to call in an abundance of joy as well. Yeah.
Yay. You know, it's funny when you were describing the roller coaster, it almost sounds like you released and had fun. It was like the journey became, instead of one of like, oh, duh, it's like, oh, this is so cool.
It did.
And I love, that's kind of also what the universe, what abundance is waiting to teach us as we step as our ego steps away from the things that we think, the ways we think we need to do. It's like, well, are you ready for the butterfly to land on this shoulder? And maybe you want one right here too, or maybe one on the top of your, it's just, it can be so fun.
Yeah.
And thank you for reminding us all of that.
Yeah, thank you.
I really liked your share, Janelle, because I feel that for me, it's the trust that I'm working on. Like I see that those things are there and I believe it, and I actually can feel, but there's a block in me that prevents me from like fully letting go that trust, and just like, I don't know if it's like trust in myself or trust in like a higher power or the universe, or, but there is, and I can see it and feel it, and I can almost like taste it, like all the things, like just when you were expressing, I saw the joy and the light coming from you. And it's like what I desire, to be present, fully present in whatever I do. And I'm about connecting right in this time. I've really begun healing the relationship I have with my daughter, because I think that I repeated the same pattern that that I learned from my mother, who probably learned from her mother. And there's a long ways to go. We have a long ways to go, her and I, but she's moving to the East Coast very soon. But you know, there's like this joy I can feel in me, but then there's this fear that keeps pulling me back, you know, and some of it is letting go of what others think, of trying to please everybody around me, or, you know, I have very long time friends for decades, and even though I love them, we have history. I think sometimes I can allow people to keep me in that space of what they expect of me, of who they want me to be. Yeah. And be like me, you know, even doing this, and be like, oh, Ramona, you're so out there sometimes. But I want to just fully like let go and let life bring to me what's meant to be for me in here. But I feel like I'm still holding back. I don't know if it's trust. I believe it's like probably trust. And just like allow myself to float and know I'm going to be okay. I always kind of think of like the river when I'm floating in my mind's eye, that when I allow myself to drift, I'm going in the right direction. But the minute I try to, start swimming the other way, I try to get to the shore, and it could be anything, that I'm fighting against my own nature and against what was, you know, and I don't want to live like another day like that. So I just don't know how to get there. I just don't know how to let go and allow myself to express myself of the things I want to express. Like, you know, I do a little bit dabble, but I'm still in that linear, what kind of, okay, got to get things done. I'm still working through this whole time. I'm supposed to be working from home, but I still go into the office because so I don't know, but I'm just like now starting, so I'm trying to learn. So I'm listening and learning from you women how to, even little hints of, okay, how do I do that? How do I let go and enjoy life? Instead of making it possible for everyone else to enjoy life, how do I enjoy life?
Yay, I love what you shared. And something real simple that I think is worthwhile. There are no mistakes in the universe. I need to remember this right now. So that fear versus love thing, right? So we get to note within ourselves when we're acting out of fear. That's the biggest shift, right? Am I doing this because I'm afraid of what so-and-so thinks, because I'm afraid that I'm not going to pay my bills, because I don't want so-and-so to be upset with me? We can notice that one of the things I teach when I teach energy healing is that kind of, and we all got it, like, is fear's clenching, fear's, ugh, that's that kind of feeling that, on our shoulders. And then this love is heart open, shoulders back, deep breaths, that creativity flow, and, just kind of have your little higher self observer sitting on your shoulder every once in a while and be like, what's the real score here? We can psychoanalyze, we can just be real truthful with ourselves. Am I doing this because of fear, or am I doing this because of love? And one of the things that I think happens on this type of a path is that we do come to see maybe some people and some behaviors and some attitudes and some just patterns in our lives that are up for shift. That's okay. And it doesn't mean you have to do a clean sweep of every single relationship in your life. What happens is you change, everything around you changes. And it's a gradual, but then it's also an instantaneous process. So just kind of, and the intention setting is the whole, that holding sacred, safe space is all you need to do. That's us getting out of our linear way. It's like, okay, well, I want to do this. Well, then what am I going to do to get there? And it's like, oh, what if I just say, all right, I'm in a group on Sunday morning on a really cool sacred holiday. I'm speaking some truths. That's amazing. Boom. I think that's that simplicity too that we get to. And then that practice of just witnessing when we're operating in fear and when we're operating in love, and then being willing to maybe tap the brakes on the fear a little bit and just notice it. And then the other thing is, when we can, stop acting. Notice when we're acting out of fear and just put brakes on that. And even if that means we sit in our living room and we have a cup of tea, so be it. And then eventually when we do feel the flow, the joy, we ride that wave, and that becomes something that we're telling the universe, thank you, bring me more, And so it's this process that is very flowy. I don't know, I hope that helps. That's kind of what came through.
I think you need to add the knowledge that you can trust yourself. It will bring you what you want. It might not look exactly like you thought it might, but it does bring you more of what you want and need to continue. So trust is, and knowledge that it is so, really supports putting the fear on the side, not reclenching to it.
Yeah, that's why in so many traditions, at the end of any invocation, they say, and so it is. Like, boom. When I first came up, like, blessed be, exclamation point, so it is, all those things. I remember when I first read that like years ago, I was like, that's a weird statement. How could you be so confident as to just say, and so it is? And then it was like, oh man, thank you for reminding me. Like, that's exactly what I think we're kind of coming towards right now, is as we're coming towards even the close of this gathering, is like, yeah, we're kind of, thank you for saying that, and so it is, because I declare it so.
I've
so
also
grateful.
experienced it, and I could share later on, because we have a lot of meetings. We can share proof of that too, that we've experienced. I'm sure all of us have experienced moments like that. And so it was.
Yeah, thank you. I think that I would love to hear your story either now or in the future. I love how we are able to, knowing that it's possible for somebody else reminds us that we're all the same. If it's possible for them, then we get to claim it for ourselves too. That is that, and yet another reason to shine brightly, yet another reason to fill our cup, yet another reason to take good care of ourselves. That might be the best act of service that we ever do,
Supporting each other, just like you're supporting us with this group. I mean, it's supporting me. I definitely feel supported after seeing the video and with this session. it's really supporting me in going on and trusting, you know.
Yes, and you guys are supporting me. I love, it's a very symbiotic relationship. So thank you. I love how everything that you're all saying, it's like spirit's always like tap, tap, tap. Here you go, post-it note. So yeah, I look forward to, there's a few things I think that I could share that come to mind, but I don't know. We're at an hour, so I think we could also just kind of declare. And so it is, you know, everything that each of us have talked about. The other thing I think that's great is that as women, we can hold space for each other, and we intuitively know that the abundance is massive, you know. And so I love that we've been able to infuse the circle with our own energy, and then also just listen to all of our sisters, and for each of us say yes, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. And I just want to offer that to all of you, and I feel it coming from you too, you know. It's like, all right, it's just this simple, like high technology. Here we are using technology and accessing our ability to gather and hold energetic space for each other. So thank you guys.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, there's more to come. There's plenty of lunar cycles.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you so much. I so enjoyed this, and thank you for that reminder of just how simple the technology of abundance can be.
Yeah, you're welcome. I love being able to share with all of you guys. It's truly sacred space. So until next new moon, full moon, we'll see which way the goddess flows our gathering. And
Thank you.
yeah, you're
Thank you
welcome.
so much. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed hearing everyone's stories, and I have written notes down as we talked for things to help me through this journey. And I look forward to seeing everyone again.
A quick question. Is it only when a goddess is coming up next that we're going to have a meeting, or how, what kind of schedule can we expect?
So that's interesting, because I've done a podcast for a couple years, and when I first started, I felt the need to be like, every Tuesday I'm gonna blah blah blah, and then spirit just got me off that train. It was just like, you don't have anything to say this Tuesday. And so part of it is I would love to have it be like every new moon or every full moon, because one of the things that I love about the goddess gatherings is, you know, I've come to know that women used to be the keepers of time. We cycle with the moon. We were, back when women held power in ancient cultures, we were the cultivators of the land. We were the familial raisers. We were the people who looked at the sky. And so I love the idea of even invoking the moon, because I think it's kind of neat. It gets us a little bit away from the Gregorian calendar. I'm giving you a long-winded answer, but I hope my candidness will show you. So some kind of a lunar cycle, probably typically new moon or full moon. And then with that, what I've experienced kind of happens is there's a theme that converges, kind of like today, where if I was that forward thinking, I might be able to tell you. I'm going to go home and kind of, we'll post another couple meetings, but lunar, probably new or full, and then also there's probably going to be a theme that comes with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I don't even look at the calendar and know when the full moon, the new moon, or whatever. That doesn't appear to me automatically.
So okay, so this is a really great, I'm going to close with this story. I got into the lunar calendar. I stumbled across a story of the Gregorian calendar. And like I said, I was raised Catholic, and I love my tradition. I love the way I'm grateful for my family. But anyway, the calendar we keep, the Gregorian calendar, was introduced by Pope Gregory the who's of how many, for the purpose of taxation. And it used to be there was 13 lunar cycles. And then what ended up happening was Julius Caesar wanted a month named after him. So he took this month and then he named it July. And then he took a couple days from February because he wanted the most days. And then his brother got jealous, Augustus. And then we have August. And then he took some more days from February. So we have this wonky, interesting calendar.
Oh, I like it.
that we go by. And so back to the simplicity I love. So the lunar cycle is like pretty repetitive. It's very simple, you know, and there's 13 moons in a year. And when I heard that, I was like, oh boy, that's another tip of the iceberg, you know, of how we can sync ourselves with nature. And I kind of like, I don't think we need to like go cold turkey away from the calendar that everybody uses. I think it's kind of fun to just dip our toe in the water and be like, all right, there's a full moon, there's a new moon. What does that mean to me? And to really let it organically integrate, because we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're just re-embodying. So thank you for that question, because that also is kind of just sharing a little bit of my journey where I was like, I want to remember this moon thing because it's probably pretty important, right?
Yeah. And I'd love to hear more about grabbing so many days out of February and
Oh, I'll have that prepared for next time. It's in this calendar that I wrote. It was surreal, but then I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. It's like the idea of the time change. Have you ever seen the meme where like the dogs are like, I don't care that it's daylight savings time, it's dinner time. You know, it's like those things that we do that we're just kind of all doing. And so I love when I discovered that, I was like, that feels a little bit more harmonious to me. So yeah, we'll touch on that. Thank you for and you guys all know how to contact me. So if there's ever any topic, I am also like super open to feedback. So thank you. Let's do it. We're doing it. And happy full moon, happy Lunasa. I'm grateful for all of you guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Katie. Thank you, Janelle.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. All right. Take care.
So be it.
So it is.